Welcome back in the shop, everyone, here at Paramount Wood Co. Hope everybody had a fantastic holiday season and a great start to the new year. We're starting off the year right here with a stunning long black walnut book match with a very cool base design as well. So we start off with getting the slabs off the CNC, been flattened downstairs, bring them up, lay them out, rip off one of the live edges off each slab so we can achieve that book match look and get them all dominoed up there. So Rick mortised out for the dominoes. After the dry fit to ensure that they line up correctly, we go ahead and lay down a good bead of TB3 here. TB3 tight bond is the waterproof tight bond. It ensures that, even though this is an interior table, we don't expect any excess amount of water or liquid on this table. It sort of just covers our bases ahead of time. So we go ahead and get a good bead of that down. Clamp it up really solidly, scrape off all that excess glue to make our cleanup easier for the next day, and let it sit overnight. And the next morning, we go ahead and pop off all these clamps that we used to get a good clamp joint there, and begin the process on this table here. So first step is always to mark out all the bow ties. You can see our team laying out all those with some chalk lines. This piece, as you can tell, has quite a lot of cracks in it, which actually is what brought the client to this slab, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of bring attention to them, really make the most of what nature does best, which is imperfections. And we can stabilize those with some good use of bow ties, which we do here. So step one is really mortising out all these bow ties. There was a whole bunch on here, I think at least 50 on this particular table. And over the course of a few days, we really, got all these in. So if you can believe it, that was the bottom, and now to the top. We do the same process. A lot of cracks will only really show on one side or the other. Some show all the way through, which we only really need one bow tie on one of the sides to accomplish that. But on the cracks, especially from situations like wind shake that only are maybe small cracks that don't show the whole way, you really kind of need to cover both bases and bow tie, where you see them if you don't see them on both sides. Hope that makes sense. Now on to resin. So cracks are stabilized with the bow ties, but it doesn't do anything for filling the obvious voids. So next step is taping off the underside, putting some MDF on the edges to stop the resin from going where we don't want it. In this case, the floor, and putting a slight tint on the resin to match the walnut, and go ahead and pouring that. We're using the Black Forest deep pour here. That, as you guys know, that's kind of our go-to. Even though these cracks are not necessarily wide, if they are deeper than an eighth of an inch, we typically go for the deep pour. And once all that is cured, sanded smooth, we go ahead onto the finishing. On this table, we're using Rubio Monocoat. It really gives a fantastic final polish using the Gem Industries buffer here, and really ensuring that we get good penetration on the oil. Once that's all oiled top, bottom, and sides, we install the V-stabilizers that we mortised for earlier on our CNC when we were flattening, and marking out for the base locations. So here our master craftsman Ryan is hand drilling for all those, cleaning up the mess, and we begin on the base production. This is a very cool base. We call it the Fjudl. Maybe some of you have seen the coffee table that we did with this base. This was our shop manager, Zach. His design, sort of a mix of Scandinavian, Japanese styles, hence the name Fjudl. And I just am thrilled with how this came out with the as a dining table size. Really, really cool. Look forward to hearing some of the feedback in the comments on the final design of the base. I think it's very interesting and just gives such a simplistic, stunning look. So we're using the same species, Pennsylvania Black Walnut here for the base. Getting all these dimensioned up for the legs, making sure they're exactly the same dimension, which is why we run it through the sander, and bring it right over to our mortiser, as these legs are going to be held together with some through tenons and for some really solid construction here. So we hog out all the material with our mortiser, and then we go back with our chisels and clean them out by hands to make sure that the final joint is not only structurally really tight, but also appearance-wise, these will be visible through tenons. We want to make sure they look really crisp. Once that's done, we go ahead and pop on our dado stack on our saw stop, and we cut a few dados here, which you'll see how these kind of play together afterwards. If you can't tell, these are the through tenons on the cross structures to complete the support of the legs here. Continue with a few more dado cuts on these cross sections, cleaning up all the edges with our hand planes and bringing out our router. Now, we don't want to leave all these edges really sharp and square. As part of this design, the client chose for pretty significant roundovers, which I was hesitant about when I heard about it, but actually the final result just looks stunning. It gave a very sort of rounded, smooth look to what otherwise could maybe be a little harsh, underdeveloped base design. Now working on some of our final plunges on our substructure frame. These elements will not be so visible, but absolutely crucial. We call these pieces our stretchers. Really helps keep the base from racking or shifting in any sort of direction at all. Want to make sure, especially with such a heavy slab top, that our bases are borderline over-engineered and overbuilt. That's why we elect to go for such heavy dimensional lumber. Now we bring it over onto our bandsaw and we cut a slice in our through tenons. You'll see what that's for a little bit later. Some of you woodworkers might already have the answer in mind. Cleaning up by hand every single element. Here you can see the threaded inserts already installed in the bottom of the feet, and going ahead with our pre-finishing now. Using the same Rubio monocoat for the base, hand applying. You can see we taped off areas where there are going to be glue joints, and now it's time for assembly. Applying glue on our through tenons, applying glue on our mortised female end of the tenons, and putting it all together. And some of you woodworkers, like I said, might have the answer. Here it is. Why we cut the slice in the tenons is actually for a shim that's going to go in there and wedge open that wood and really ensure a tight fit. Now we've got essentially half our base glued up. We're gluing up our stretchers now that are going to joint the either sides of the bases together. This thing went together with an absolute glove, but nobody was shocked when we had our master craftsman Ryan on the job. I mean, this guy just does not make mistakes. Very methodical. It's an absolute pleasure to watch him work every day. And you can start to get your first glimpse at the completed base. This thing went together like a dream. Stunning design, and all those stretchers that are under the table, really, as you can see now, not that visible unless you're laying on the ground there. So lots of leg space on this design. Absolutely stunning combination of Japanese and Scandinavian designs here, connected with our American materials. Stunning book match walnut top, and I just could not be happier. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys.